I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Woo! Hello,
What?
everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Letter for the King After Show. We're talking season 1, episode 5, Spiral, and I'm spiraling right now because it was an episode that took me on such a roller coaster. I almost got lost. We're talking the letter, the prophecy, the kiss, and so much more. It was such a great episode. We also have an exciting special segment called The Greatest Battles in History, as well as some fun news and gossip. So stick around for that. We'll be ending with our AfterBuzz predictions and can't wait to get to the finale with you all. I'm your host and moderator, Bryant Santos, and I am your resident medieval TV lover and lover of all things kings and queens, because I'm a queen myself. I've said it for the last 5 episodes, and I'll say it till I'm in the grave.
I love that.
I won't be able to do this without my amazing panel of knights with me. First, we have Torre Weaver, who is our resident Game of Thrones fan and lover of the kingdoms. Hey, Torre, love the makeup.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we have this series. So now I have some other kingdoms to love underneath my belt.
Yes. And we also have Benjamin Schnau with us, joining us, who's someone who's lived in Europe and giving us that European perspective. Hey, Ben, glad to have you back with us.
Hey, thank you guys. Sorry I couldn't make it for 2 p.m. today, but I'm back and I'm all in. This episode was crazy. So much superpowers again. I was like, I can't believe it. I love it.
All right.
I'm a superpower guy.
Yes. Well, Ben, since you're there, talk about it. Give me some of your overall thoughts of this episode.
I mean, I was like, really? I was like, at some point we just realized that Lavinia also has something like a superpower, right? And I was like, wait a minute, what? I didn't see that coming. I mean, by the way, I predicted before, remember, that Tiuri also has a superpower beside the prince, right? I said that from the very beginning, and we were right, obviously. But
yes.
Lavinia out of a sudden having like her own superpowers, and I didn't even know. It felt like to me that she almost she knew about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I had the feeling that she knew she has those superpowers, but she didn't want to tell anyone. And I was asking myself, why is that? Why didn't you want to tell anyone? So how do you guys think about that?
This was definitely a lot of plot twists in this episode. Now, I don't know if you guys caught this, but at the end of the episode, they were kind of panned up to like an overview, like bird's eye camera view, and there was a spiral on the ground surrounding the novices. Now, when we first met Lavinia, she had drawn a spiral with her foot in the little like tavern that she met.
I did not catch that.
I'm kind of wondering if that is connected. Remember when she did that? And I was wondering, I was like, why she do that with her foot? Like, it must be important because the camera like stayed on that design for a little bit. And that's the same design that was at the end of the episode. So now I'm like, hold on, what's going on here?
You're right. Now I remember that. Now that you're saying it, the shaman kind of sign, right? With the oh, you're right. You got it. I saw it, but I didn't get the connection. Wow, you're good. You're good, girl. Wow.
Yes, yeah. I 100% agree. I did not catch that connection, so I love that so much. I was so shocked about Lavinia. We're going to break that down so much at the end of the episode. Just talking about all that craziness, that crazy plot twist. I agreed it was such an amazing episode. Let's just jump right into it. So I want to talk about Tiuri first of all. So the episode kind of starts, and it really picks up when he finds this painting of the Black Knight. And we also find out that the woman who basically nursed him back to health is actually the Black Knight's wife. Now, I was shook, and I also did not see that coming. What about you guys? Ben, what did you think?
I didn't expect that myself. The only thing that I felt at some point is, okay, I think the horse, right? Was it like our Dunvan, right? I hope I said that correctly. I think the horse is almost kind of leading the way now, in a way.
Yes.
So when we basically meet her and she's telling that about her like dead husband, I was like, okay, it makes kind of sense in a way because the horse is just coming back home in a way, you know? And when she said that, I was still surprised. But then when I thought about the horse leading the way almost because they didn't even have a clue where to go. So I think the horse was basically taking the first position here. I was like, okay, that makes kind of sense to me. So first shock, surprise, but then I felt like, okay, I get it. So, you know, yeah. I'm in between.
Definitely. Tori, what'd you think?
Yeah, I can definitely see that the horse has been taking a lot of lead in this journey. I think he's made a lot more decisions than we've kind of given him credit for. But at first I was kind of confused because when we were first introduced to the town, it's pretty deserted. You don't know what's going on. Only one man is out there when we first see it. And then, you know, everybody else starts to come out. So I'm just kind of like, what is this place? It doesn't really seem like it has a name for it. Like, where are you? But where are we? But it started to make sense definitely as as the novices started to kind of get familiar with where they were at.
For sure.
Right.
It was definitely, I was shook too, because they just rode up into that town. There was nobody there. Then we got a man with a pitchfork. They all walked out with their own pitchforks. I felt like it was like, what's that scary movie where they put the X's on the villages, on the doors? I think it's called The Village. I don't know. It was just, give me those vibes. But yeah, so that was definitely a moment. But even more than that, of that moment of discovery for Tiuri, was when the nurse or that woman basically talks about his hero journey, because we've been talking about this the whole season of basically Tiuri on this hero journey. He has this hero complex where he's so compassionate and he wants to basically save everybody. And this woman says, you don't have to save everybody. Don't be a hero, because the world doesn't need another hero. And I think that was definitely such a big wake-up call for Tiuri, because she is dealing with so much grief and so much loss, knowing that her husband is now dead. And she's telling him, it's not worth it. This journey you're on is not worth it. So Tori, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I could definitely understand where she was coming from. I think at first she wasn't really sure who Tiuri was or what his powers were. And I can only imagine how many times she's kind of heard the same speech over and over again from her husband, who goes out on these journeys to bring peace to the world. And then someday he doesn't come back. So I can only imagine how she feels towards this hero syndrome or wanting to save everything. And she just probably feels like you're trying to save everybody else and you can't do that. You know, one day it's either going to be you or them. And
Yeah.
that day, you know, it was her husband. So I can only imagine how she was feeling in that moment.
Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I feel like, the thing is, when I think about Yuri, and at the end of the day, he's a kid still, right? And I think that he believes in the good things, and I think he's just trying to make it all right. And I think he never really saw himself and never will see himself as the hero. I think that's not what he actually wants to be anyway. So I think he's just trying to do the right thing right now, because he feels like he doesn't have a choice, because these people made him understand, if you don't do that right now, we all got to go down. We all going to be like dead or something at some point, right? So I think he's just trying to do the right thing for everyone, and not for him. It's hero doesn't mean anything. So, and I appreciated when she said that, but at the end of the day, I think he got to do what he got to do right now. So that's pretty much what it is.
For sure. I agree with you in that sense of that he is a hero and he's going on this like hero complex, but he doesn't acknowledge it. He's too humble to even be a hero, or say that he's on this journey, because he's just trying to do what's right. And most heroes don't think that's anything other than just what's right and what they have to do. So I 100% agree with that. So this was a crazy episode and two big reveals happened. So let's talk about the first one, which was the letter. So we finally see what was on the letter, which is basically just these coordinates, a time frame, and then the names of these families. Now, all of the kids were so taken back by this, because it's all their family names, and they were thinking, what does this mean? Basically Viridian is saying, I'm going to take what I want by force. And he's been saying that the entire season. So what did you guys think when you saw the letter? Were you as shocked as I was to see what he was saying? Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that I didn't understand, I tried to make myself understand why the family names of all the other kids were on that. And then I thought like, okay, because they all want to become knights anyway. So that means they all could be possible danger for the prince at the end of the day. And I think he just wanted to prevent that by basically killing the families in the first place. So I think that was my understanding. And that was interesting. That was kind of a little twist to me, because I didn't see the other kids who were trying to become a knight too, so much involved in this kind of Prince Tiuri situation or constellation. So I didn't even see that. So when I read the family names of all the other kids, I was like, wow, that's interesting, because I just expected maybe Tiuri's family or whatever on there, So I think he's basically just trying to prevent all the bad things that could happen to him in the future if they keep alive,
Definitely. Tori, what do you think?
Yeah, this thing was kind of confusing. I mean, we waited all the season to try to figure out what was so important about this letter. And then when we first saw it, it barely had anything on it until we revealed that there was, hidden ink. But it was definitely interesting. It definitely kind of shifted the dynamic in the novices for sure. I'm like Ben said, I'm still trying to kind of make sense of why these names were so important to be on the list, because the letter was sent, prior to them going to the visual and doing this whole thing where they were going to try to train as knights. So I was trying to figure out, how did he know who these kids were before all of this even started? So my thought was kind of maybe he knew that someone with the same power or similar power as him was in that group, and he wasn't sure which one. So I was thinking maybe he was just going to take down all of those families to kind of cover his bases to ensure that there was no power against him. But I mean, I guess we'll find out in the next episode for sure what that letter meant.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. But what I'm thinking too is, I think we talked about this before, where me and Tori, I think kind of that Viridian is kind of like all-seeing, or basically like he is not really a psychic because he can't really see the future, but he kind of just sees everything that's happening around him and can see these flashbacks. So maybe he did see, like, kind of prophesize or like foresee something bad happening, which is what you guys alluded to, that he's just covering his bases to make sure that no one can take down his power because he's so power hungry. And it was just really interesting to see. And this was one of the first times, I don't know if you guys noticed it, that he actually kind of lost his composure. Throughout the entire season, he was just so calm, cool, and collected, and he never even raised his voice like one octave, you know. But now in this episode, he's kind of seeing things unravel, and he finally lost his temper a little bit. So it's definitely interesting to see what's going to happen next episode. I want to see the progression and how this thing all blows up. And then we see the prophecy. I mean, we shouldn't really spend too much time on this because it kind of was just a breakdown of what we kind of already know, just in like a formatted form. Anything you guys want to talk about with that?
Go ahead, Ben.
Please. No, I just wanted to. So can you just repeat that? Sorry, there was something
like
with my connection.
Yeah, the prophecy. Like, is there anything you think is like interesting to talk about with that? Like, did you notice anything in particular? Because we kind of seen it displayed to us throughout the series, but now it's kind of just broken down like boom, boom, boom. So anything in particular that you want to talk about with that?
Not really. I mean, Tori, what did you think? I didn't really particularly like had any idea about that, to be honest. I was just like, okay, it is how it is.
Yeah, when I saw the whole like illustration and this like dramatic fog type of thing happening, I kind of wish that we got that in the earlier part of the series, just to kind of see what this prophecy was, because at this point, like you said, we've kind of pieced it all together, and now we pretty much know the prophecy or know enough about the prophecy to keep us going. So I was kind of hoping that this whole little beautiful illustration was in the beginning when we had those questions, but I mean, it, like I said, it was a beautiful illustration. So it was a nice dynamic to the show.
Definitely, yeah. Like I mentioned, it was kind of just, I was like looking at it, I was like, okay, that's interesting to see it actually like in a story, or like one straight shot, as opposed to what you're talking about, of where we had to kind of make those inferences ourselves and decide what this prophecy is. So that was interesting. But the last big thing I want to talk about this episode, I'm sure we were all shook because I was shook. Tori, tell me, girl, how you felt about that kiss, because I am shipping Lavinia forever now. What did you think?
It was so cute. Like I said, I keep talking about these little moments where we kind of just break away from the seriousness of the plot, and we just kind of get to see the kids be kids, or even not even just the kids, just the characters in general, just kind of let their hair down and just live in the moment. So it was definitely one of those moments, and they made it so beautiful with the cinematography, with the flowers and the wind blowing around them. I guess their powers, that part of the episode.
Yeah, Ben, what do you think?
My God, I cried. No, but I mean, I was close. No, but the thing is, I had a feeling this was coming for sure, right? I mean, so I definitely feel like that there's something that, I mean, I had the feeling they're going to kiss anyway at some point, so I saw that coming. But then I also feel like when it comes about the powers, now knowing that she also has kind of a superpower, that makes me almost think like, because I was trying to remember, and I think she even said that, right? That every time when she is close to him, that's the moment where he can basically release this power he has. So I feel like he almost needs her in order to activate his powers, which was very interesting to me. So, and that's why I was thinking, yeah, that was even more a surprise to me than they are kissing, to be honest.
I love this so much, and I just said it. I am like the biggest Lavinia fan, so love that. I want to see how this transpires even more. I think it'll be really interesting. And while we're here, let's just jump into it. So now we know that Lavinia has powers. We see this epic moment where basically Tiuri conjures up this storm, and we think that he saved everybody. And Tiuri says, "I didn't do it." Then we find out Lavinia has these powers. Now, none of us saw this coming. Ben, tell me, what were your initial thoughts when you just saw that all go down?
That she has the powers, you mean, right? That she also has some powers, you mean? I mean, now that you, Tori, that you told me that about this one sign that she put on the ground at the very beginning, right? When she was basically trying to give him a signal, hey, I know what you're talking about. Now that you told me that, now thinking about it back in the first 2 episodes, I was like, oh, wow. Now it makes all sense. From the first beginning, I was like, she doesn't even came across like someone who could have any superpowers at all. She was more this kind of upfront girl, just talking about some stuff, trying to be very confident every time, right? So she doesn't really feel like anyone who could have any superpowers. So I was really surprised by that. And even more surprised that I, as I mentioned already, have the feeling that she knew it even from the very beginning, who she is and what she's capable of doing. But then coming back to the wife, the Black Knight's wife, saying, hey, we don't need any superheroes anymore. I almost get the feeling that she also doesn't want to be that person. She doesn't want to be the hero. She doesn't want to show everyone she could actually do all that to save the world, because she doesn't want to be in that position for some reason. So a lot of questions, to be honest, when I realized that I still don't have the answer for, unfortunately.
Definitely. Tori, what do you think?
Yeah, so just hearing everybody's opinion, it kind of makes me wonder if there's some sort of connection between her powers and whatever relationship that we haven't been able to see with her mom. Just because I was thinking, she was aware of these powers. Is it something that maybe she's gotten from her mother's side and that's why they're not as close? Or is that why she doesn't want to be that person? Sometimes when we don't have the best relationships with people, we don't want to recognize the traits that we have from them as well. So I was thinking maybe her mom has those traits and she doesn't want to be that because she doesn't want to identify with whatever decisions her mom decided to make that broke her family apart. So I was kind of wondering if there's anything with that. I'm not sure. I just, now that I saw the two signs, I'm like, oh my goodness, my mind is blown. Now all my theories are out the door. But it does raise question as to why she didn't bring these powers, I guess, to the forefront in the beginning. Or maybe when she saw that Tiuri also had powers, it's kind of like, I wonder why this was this big kept secret up until now.
Definitely. And it's crazy that you mentioned the whole spiral. And one other thing I mentioned about Lavinia and her powers, or what I remember right now, is last episode when she was in the ship and the little girl comes up and asks, do you have magic? And Lavinia kind of like stopped for a second and she kind of took a second like look at her, if that makes sense. So maybe you're right, Ben, that she does know she has these powers and she was trying to suppress it. Because I even felt that a little bit when she put her hand over Tiuri and he kind of gave off that aura. At first I was like, oh yeah, Tiuri has powers. But then at the same time, I was like, maybe it's Lavinia actually giving him some kind of healing. And that's how he was able to wake up, So I still was shook in the end when they had that big reveal. But now that I see it, there was all these little like moments and Easter eggs that they gave us. And then they revealed it to us, which is definitely really cool to look back and see. So
It's funny. It's funny you say that. It's so good that you say that right now, because I didn't think about the little girl asking her if she got magic, because now that you say it, it's definitely kind of foreshadowing already what's going to happen. So that's actually a very good point. Thanks for mentioning that. I didn't have that connection, but you're totally right.
Yes.
Totally right, because it comes across that she gives me the feeling, and then she's playing with that one coin or whatever, giving her like a magic trick very quickly. But when you look into her face, there's something she was hiding at that point. So that's a very good one. Thanks for mentioning that. I like that.
Of course. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. That's our recap for the episode, and it was really great. Like I mentioned, we're coming up on the finale, the last episode of the season, so we definitely want to make you tune in for that. But before we go, of course, we're going to move into our special segment. So we're doing the greatest battles in history. This show has so many fun battles, these horse chases, all these fun stuff. So Tori, tell us about it, girl. Take it away.
Yes, so today's battle is the Battle of Marathon. And this battle happened because the Persian army actually wanted to conquer and defeat any armies that were kind of going against them. So in this particular battle, it was the Persian army against the Greek cities. Now, the Greek cities were kind of allies to other armies that were trying to overthrow the Persian army, and the Greek cities actually came out on top of this battle. Now, this battle actually happened in Marathon, which is 26 miles roughly north of Athens. And what's so important about this is not only that the Greek were able to come out on top, which was a great victory from them. Legend has it that a messenger from the battle ran all the way to Athens, which again was 26 miles, to tell the victory. And that is why we have the name of what we know as the marathons today, of people, the runs and the races and stuff like that. So that is a legend of where it comes from. And that is our battle of the episode.
Wow, That almost feels like history lesson working with you guys. I love it. Not work. It's not even work. It's not even work. It's fun. I learned something
Yes,
and have fun. Wow, that's the
I
best.
love
Better than
that.
school.
Seriously, we're learning from home too. Well, thank you so much,
Exactly.
Tori. That was a
No
great special
problem.
segment. All right, Ben, I know you have some fun news and gossip for us, so take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. I definitely have some fun news, and we mentioned that already a little bit, talking about the horse Ardanben, right? I hope I said
Mhm.
Ardanben. I hope I said it correctly. The thing is, online, a lot of people actually see him, the horse, as the real hero in the whole show, which is very funny. So, I mean, our producer Bree is now hopefully showing everyone this little article that I have, which is saying the letter for the king, Ardanben, the horse, is the series' true hero, which is very interesting because at the end of the day, he pretty much saves a lot of people throughout the
Mm-hmm.
show. And a lot of people probably that didn't even realize, but he's always there at the right time, at the right spot for some reason, right? So
Yes.
that was just a funny little article that I just pulled out. And I think that's really true to a certain extent, because without the horse, I think both of them, Lavinia and Tiuri, wouldn't be at the spot where they are right now, right? So that's basically, so I love the horse. Maybe he's going to get his own show. Who knows?
The letter for the horse. Check it out on
Exactly.
Netflix in October.
But
Honestly.
exactly. That's it, guys.
I
Some
love it.
funny
Thank you so
little
much, Ben.
sure.
All right. Now, the last thing we're going to do before we go is just talk about our AfterBuzz predictions. All right, guys. Who wants to go first? Because I am not prepared. I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, honestly, predictions, I definitely feel like, I mean, it's the last episode, right? So I definitely believe we have the showdown coming up. I totally believe that. I think Prince, obviously, we're going to meet the bad and the good side right now. Something is going to happen. Yeah, just my overall prediction, because it's the final episode.
Tori, how about you?
Yeah, definitely. This last episode has to be, it has no option but to be like a huge explosive episode. I do feel like, with the first 5 episodes, we've been doing a lot of groundwork. It hasn't been too much action. We've maybe seen 1 or 2 battles since we watched the series. So I definitely think that this last episode has to be jam-packed with action, just for it to all, come to a head and come full circle. It was something interesting that his name is escaping me. Sorry. The villain said in the last episode, which was about like he really believes that he is on the good side, and that actually
Yeah.
kind of caught me off guard, because I was like, how in the world could you be on the good side? So I'm kind of wondering that when him and Tiuri come face to face, or whatever happens in this last episode, what is kind of going to be their viewpoints? Because I thought it was pretty clear who was on the bad side and who was on the good
You're
side,
right.
I guess, or who was the hero. But now it's kind of like shaking things up, because I always thought that he was aware that he was the villain. And so that statement kind of made me question, does he really think that this is for the greater good of everyone? I mean, we all had
Right.
these predictions that he was just doing this for power, but that kind of made me think, like, maybe he really is convinced that this is what's best for everyone.
I mean, it's funny though, but I basically believe that every show we've ever seen, I think the villain or the bad guy always believes that they are the
Mm-hmm.
good guy.
Yes.
That's the funny thing about being the villain. They always believe they're doing the right thing for everybody. It
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but I think that's why they are the villain at the end. So, but I totally agree. It's funny that you say that. Yeah,
Yep.
I
I
truly
think
believe that he thinks he's good.
I do agree too. I
Yeah.
think that Viridian is just he's been so evil, just acting all crazy. And I don't know, my predictions. Huh. I think Lavinia, so it's crazy because this whole time I've been saying, okay, Tiuri has the magical powers. Tiuri's going to be the one to take down Viridian. Now I think it's going to be Lavinia, or it's going to be some kind of collective between Tiuri and Lavinia. They're going to have to team up, combine their powers, use their powers to defeat Viridian, because I feel like he has been absorbing all these different energies and essences from all these powerful forces. And he is so strong, not only just himself, but he also has an army behind him. So after they take down
Yeah.
all his army, they have to deal with him. So I think it's going to have to be a collective of Lavinia and Tiuri, and maybe as well as the novices, just this whole big showdown, like you said, Tori, of basically it's just going to be a lot of action. So that's probably what I predict, is that Lavinia is going to definitely be the one to help take down Viridian. And I'm super excited to see it. So that is pretty much the show, guys. We're going to be here for one more episode in about an hour, around 9 p.m. We're going to watch the final season finale, and then we'll come back and talk about it with you. But before we go, Tori, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Yes. So again, you guys can find me on Instagram at Toxic Model. I made up that name when I was in high school, so don't rip me apart. And you can find me on Twitter at Tori with 2 E's.
Toxic
Ben, how about you?
model. I like that. I love that. Toxic model. All right. I do that too. No, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and now also on Twitter. It's at Benjamin Schnau, Schnau. And just watch out tomorrow. We're also going to do the show Deaths, which is available on Hulu at 6 p.m. for you guys.
Awesome. Well, I am Bryant Santos. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Bryant Santos. I'm doing a lot of after shows, but one thing I want you guys to check out is my Quarantine with the Stars interviews I've been doing. I interviewed Taylor Dane, which was amazing, Darren Barnett, just some really fun stuff. So check that out and check out our last episode of the Letter for the King after show. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.